Hi, I'm Margie Abbott, and I've homeschooled since the 1980s. We had 6 children, and some of our kids loved the idea of going to college, and some of them were like, no way, I'm not going to college. And so it presented a problem when we got to their high school years, and we needed to know how much math do they really need to know if they're not going to go to college. And the second part of my question would be is, what if they change their mind and we haven't gotten them prepared, and which happened with our 5th child. She decided her senior year she's going to college, and now she's in college. And so we had to kind of understand both sides. So first, answer my question about how much do they really need if they don't go to college? How much math do they need to survive in the real world?
Well, that's an excellent question, and the real answer is you need to download our syllabus for Tiers 1 and Tier 2, because that has a list of the topics that we teach them right out of the gate for a beginner, a post-elementary beginner. And the answer is they're going to first of all need to know how to use a calculator, because they're going to do all their arithmetic with a calculator. Nobody's going to pay you to sit down with pencil and paper and do manual things. Then you're going to need to know, well, you got to know the rules of arithmetic. So we have what we call pre-algebra, where we really are reviewing what they should already know. Maybe they do, maybe they don't. The rules of arithmetic, which is pretty easy, and so it's mostly a review for them. Now, all of these topics, as you know, we teach with videos and exercises and quizzes. So it has to be done. It's like climbing a ladder. You watch a video on a topic. When you think you understand it, you do some exercises. If you can't do them, you go back and watch the video back and forth until you get them. Then when you feel you've mastered, you take a quiz. And that proves to you and everybody else that you've mastered that, and then you move up the ladder. Now, after they've learned the calculator and the rules of arithmetic review, we teach them some algebra. Now, algebra is something, oh, I hate algebra. Well, the way algebra is traditionally taught is horrible, because you'll take a big thick book, lots and lots of stuff in it, 90% of it you'll never use, some of it's premature, some of it's obsolete. We teach 10 topics in algebra, and they're not very difficult, and people go, well, I can understand that. Now, it's important to know these, because then we go into geometry and we teach them the basic geometry you need for practical math. Now, once again, we're not proving theorems, we're not doing what's often done in geometry classes. We're teaching them how long should something be, what is the area, what is the volume, because that's what you need for almost any technical subject that you could think of. You need to know areas and volumes and lengths.
Back carpet for your house.
And to solve those problems, you need to use algebra as a tool. So you combine algebra and geometry to solve the problems. Now, if you look at our syllabus on the algebra and the geometry, it's unlike anything you've ever seen. You'll go, oh my goodness,
I agree, yes.
This is all there is to it. I mean, I thought, well, wait a minute, what about these big thick books? We don't use a book at all, and we all use custom notes, because there is no book that just covers these topics. And it doesn't do any good to take a book that's got a whole bunch of other stuff in it and try to just pick out a few topics, because then that's very confusing. And then after algebra and geometry, because triangles are so terribly important in construction, we teach them how to solve triangle problems with trigonometry. It's very easy, actually, especially with a calculator. Now, that's what we call practical math, and that's what we start all of our students with. And now they're ready to go out and do any kind of a practical math type of career. They might want to do landscaping, or go to the military and do some things, or maybe go in an apprenticeship program, things like that.
Wow. Okay. So what do you do with that? Is that going to give them enough math to get through to take those jobs? Like, would that be what they'd need if they want to be a plumber or an electrician, or to get them ready for that? Because what I'm finding is a lot of times that they're not being qualified for those jobs because they're afraid of math, or they have, because we talked a little bit about the struggler, but some of the times those kids aren't thinking they want to go to college because they struggle in math. And so sometimes this can change their whole attitude of how far they want to go in education, couldn't it? If they find out that if they can learn this much, they could go ahead and go to a technical school and become an electrician or something like that.
That is true. That is true. There are, in order to be successful in our modern economy, you have to know how to read and write. We call that literacy.
Right, yes.
But if you're going to go in any kind of a technical field, a non-professional technical field, you've got to know the basic math we're talking about. We call that matheracy. It's a word we made up. So if you learn this practical math we're talking about, that will open up literally hundreds of career paths. Because when you go to work for a company today, they're going to want to teach you how to operate a certain machine or something. Because today everything is automated and there's machinery everywhere, and you've got to learn the technical things. And whenever you go into those training programs, they assume you know practical math. And if you don't, you're stuck right off the bat. So by knowing the practical math, then you can understand what they're doing, whether you're learning hydraulics or pneumatics or electrical or electronics or mechanical or whatever. And but we just teach the math you need for these non-professional technical subjects. When I say non-professional, if you're going to go into engineering and science, then you're going to need more math down the road, which that comes later. But this just gets you started.
So that is your, like, what, tier 1 and 2?
Yeah, tier 1 and 2. We call it the Practical Math Foundation. This is the notebook that we used when we taught this to a group of people in industry. And
So you had to teach this in industry. Why would you have to teach that in industry?
well, we found out today that there are most people working in technical subjects in industry, in the maintenance arena, don't know math, and therefore they can't learn the technical subjects. And so we teach them the math first, then they can start learning hydraulics and pneumatics and all the other things.
So this is something that really has held back the people that don't even want to go to college from
Oh,
getting
absolutely.
better
In fact, it's a great impediment in industry. What will happen is a company, see, I had a training company called Hain Training, and we've trained thousands and thousands of people, what are called skilled tradesmen, for big companies like Caterpillar and General Motors and Ford and all that. And when you go to teach them a subject, let's say hydraulics, you assume they know math because you're going to have to teach them, they're going to have to know how to calculate the area of certain things or the volume to do hydraulics. Well, if they can't do it, then you've got to stop and go teach them that, and then you're not teaching them the hydraulics. So a lot of instructors assume they know the math. And if they don't know it, they get lost
and
and they don't learn anything.
And they lose their opportunities for those better jobs to take care of their
What
family.
made us so terribly successful as a training company, and we trained thousands and thousands of people at Hain Training, was we would teach them the math they needed to know, then teach them the technical topics, whatever it might be. And if you go to haintraining.com, which is an old website, it's no longer active, but you can look at what we did. We had 50 programs on different subjects. And what made it successful was we teach them the basic math they needed, then teach them the subject.
Well, this sounds just like really important to me because as a homeschool mom and loving children, I realize they've got to become adults one day, and especially our young men, when they got to provide for families. So it sounds like if they don't have this math, then that really could hinder them from being able to get better paying jobs to better take care of their family, whether they go to college or not.
That's right. There are today in this country, of course, we're talking here in 2016, there are hundreds of thousands of jobs going unfilled because they can't find qualified people. Now, what does it take to be qualified? Well, obviously literate, you got to be able to read and write, but you should need to be math literate. If you can't learn how to operate a machine because you don't understand the basic math, you're stuck. And so usually the test that they give people to qualify them to, do I want to hire you into my apprentice program, is a math test. And it's basic math, the stuff that we're teaching. That's what they want you to know. And so it opens up lots and lots of opportunities and career opportunities. And these are good paying jobs, by and large.
Oh, yeah. Well, I have two brothers that are engineers, and they both said the number one job coming down the pike is to be an electrician because the average age of an electrician is 55 right now. So over the next 10 years, there's going to be a huge need, but there's going to be a shortfall. And I believe your tier 1 and 2 might help that solution.
Oh, I guarantee it does.
That is just really exciting to me because, like we had, they might decide later on, maybe your program will encourage them to go on to school, but if they don't, then it's definitely giving them an opportunity to have a step at having a great job someday. And
Well,
that's
and as
so
we've
exciting.
talked, that's right, and as we've talked about in other videos that people might want to watch, is that getting their psychology right is the most important thing, and learning this practical math gets their psychology right. It gets them
Builds their
self-esteem, it gets them self-confidence, they know they can do it, and that's just worth everything, really.
Well, that is so exciting. Well, we're excited to learn more about this.